Ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker for the day is the beautiful Myra Roldan. She's a technologist from Amazon, and she's going to be talking about how to build a voice user interface. Myra, have fun. Over to you. Over to you.
Hi, and thank you so much. I'm so super excited to be here today. So I have some interactive stuff for you guys today, but I want to forewarn you, I live by a fire department, so I may go into a panic and mute myself just so I can save your ears in the process, okay? So I want to get into this really quick. So we're going to be designing a voice user interface. So let's see if I can get this going. Let's do this. Okay. So let's start with, we're using Mentimeter. So if you go to menti.com and enter the code, let me know where you're joining from. So I want you to use, tell us what room in your house you're in and what country you're in. And you can either use a flag or type out your country name. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that before we jump in, just so I can get to know all of you. And so as we're waiting for this, we are going to be focusing on the design piece of a voice user interface, which is what you would know as an Alexa skill or as a Google Home skill or a voice skill. Some of you call it chatbots. And so we're going to be really looking at the elements of a design. So as you guys are sharing, I am in my hallway in my studio in Seattle. So I live in 350 square feet, very tiny place. And so my office is located literally in a hallway. There's a closet right behind me, so nothing fancy here. Thank you all for coming. I see a lot of people, if you have home offices, some people joining from your bedrooms, that's amazing. Living rooms, lounges. All right, pretty good. Thank you so much for answering that. So let's keep it moving, right? Because I know you guys really want to get to the good stuff. So let's see. Work. Let's advance this or see if it'll work for us. Oh no. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, so usually when you're asked to create something, what's the first thing people tell you? Like, we need this right now, right? So for you guys, this is gonna be our first task. So we need training on how to make toast. So I want you guys to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw out the steps to make toast. So I'm going to give you probably about 2 minutes to do that. If you're not really great at drawing, you can write out the steps, but I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to write those steps out. And I'm going to grab, I did my steps already. So let's see if I can pull up my pictures I can share with you guys. Because I know that you won't be able to see each other's drawings, but you know, I was hoping we would be able to share on screen, but that's okay. Take those 2 minutes to draw toast. Like, what are the steps that someone needs to take in order to make toast? So I should have cued some music here. So I'm going to give you guys about a minute, and we'll talk about some design process here, right? So when you're thinking about any kind of design, you usually start with thinking through the steps of something, whatever task it is that you have to create a learning solution for, right? And we're usually throwing things like this, like out of the blue, like, hey, we need training on, you know, a process, or we need systems training, or we need some kind of training, and it just gets thrown at you, and you're usually not given a lot of background, right? So understanding those steps and those steps out. I'm a big fan of drawing steps out, even if you're just doing like crude drawings. And if you didn't know, you can make, there are 7 shapes that you can use to make any kind of drawing. So it's a circle, square, a triangle, squiggly line, a straight line, and then like that peaky line that looks like mountains. Those are all the shapes you need in order to create any kind of drawing. So, and I'm not going to teach how to draw today, okay, so I hope that you wrote out your steps to like how to make toast, right? So I want you to look at your steps And I want you to think about like, okay, so I wrote out these steps, now what, right? That's usually where most of us stand. So let's move on here. Let's see if it'll let me move. I have too many things in the way here. Okay. So before we start designing, right, we really need to focus on like, who are we building for? And we wrote out those steps, and that's usually what we do first, right? Like we'll say, okay, we need training on toast. And so we'll start writing those steps out without really doing any kind of research or getting to understand like, who is our customer, you know, what's the business need, what's the success metric, what's the KPIs, what is that journey look like? So this is a really important step, and I really I'm a big proponent of this, and I'm a big fan. This is what we call the actual drawing that I made here is called a flywheel. So flywheels, and our flywheel here starts with the customer at our center, and our customers are our learners, right? And so we need to ensure that we understand like, what's the business need for the training that we've been asked to create. So we're asked to make toast. Like, what's the need? Like, why do we need training for toast? What are the KPIs? KPIs are what are key performance indicators we need to track, right? What's the learner journey? Like, how does that experience look for the learner? And then what are the success metrics that we're going to measure? And then on top of that flywheel and the black here, it's basically what's the impact to the customer? Like, this is all business impact, but what's the direct impact to the customer? In this case, it can be anything. I put like performance improvement and job satisfaction, right? So we're gonna be able to become master toast makers, and they'll be really happy with toast, right? That leads to job satisfaction, and they'll never leave. So this is really important. I'm going to share these with you guys later. I'll make sure that I share this with Kath and team so they can share these slides out with you, because I think this is really important. Okay, so now let's talk about conversation. So when we're building out a skill, we need to think about conversation. So we did our research, we figured out who our customer is, we know like all that stuff in the wheel, but now we really need to think about the conversation that we're going to build, right? Because building a voice user interface is really different than building in a GUI or a graphical user interface, like let's say Storyline, right? And so there are some nuances to conversation, and we're going to explore some of that in a minute. So I'm going to introduce you to Grice's maxim. So these are violations of Grice's maxims, because I always believe let's show you the bad stuff first, because that's where we learn, right? We learn from mistakes. And so I'm showing you the proper use doesn't always drive it home, but if we take a minute to look at this, so there are 4 maxims. There's the maxim of quantity. So like, how much information are you giving in the conversation? The maxim of quality, like, are you giving the information that's needed, right? Is it of good quality? The maxim of relation. So it is the conversation or the back and forth relatable. So I like to think of conversation as a game of catch, right? And so is that ball toss happening in a really good manner? And then the maxim of manner. So meaning, you know, how are we presenting that information, and in what manner or what way are we giving that information? And is it usable for the person who's engaging with us in the conversation? So if we look at the maximum of quantity, that's my favorite. It's usually like, where's the closest pharmacy? How many of you guys have ever gotten a response? Oh, it's pretty close, right? You can ask anything. And then how useful is that information? It is not useful at all. It's like, I should have just, okay, I'm going to go like get a map or something. And I think that's really why like Google Maps is popular. People can't tell you anything nowadays. So these, when we're creating conversation, understanding that we need to make sure that we're providing the right amount of information, that the information we're providing is quality information, that the information is relatable, and that the information is actually like usable, right? Like, can they like use it? And or do we get like this whole backstory on like, you know, what the closest pharmacy is, like we have here, where they give this historical information about, you know, this CVS, when all we really want to know is like, where is it, right? We didn't ask them about the whole backstory of it. So this is really important. So I want to pause and see if there's any questions. I see there's one question here, and I'm sorry, I have like my pens are in the way. Okay. Do we have a toaster or an oven? Do we even want toast? Okay, that's a great question. So that's on our toast question, and we'll get to that in a minute. I want to see if there's any other questions that have come up in the chat.
No questions, Myra.
Okay, great. So let's now move on. Let's evaluate a conversation. So I really find that, I mean, I don't like to eavesdrop on people, right? But you can hear some interesting conversations. And so I'm going to introduce you, first of all, to my friend. So Alexa, can you say hi to my friends? Let's see if she can say hi today. I guess she's ignoring me. Alexa, can you say hi to my friends? She actually doesn't, I think she's a little camera shy right now. So Echo, can you say hi to my friends?
Hey, Myra, we speak again. I was just juicing up. Are we at #LearningCon? Hi, friends. I'm Alexa. I'm powered by the magic of AI and universal power.
So I hope you guys heard her. So give me a thumbs up if you did. So we're going to be talking about voice user interface. And so let me have her give you a quick interest to it. Echo, can you tell us what is a voice user interface? She might be stuck also. Echo, can you tell us what is a voice user interface? So with my bad internet, she may not be happy today. So hopefully she'll have this conversation with me. So let me give you the definition of a voice user interface. So think of it as the device, your smart speaker is a car, and the voice user interface is the engine of the car. So it's what makes and what powers the program in order to have a conversation with you. And the information that we put into that voice user interface is like fuel, right? And so the program gets smarter and smarter every time she learns new information. And so a lot of people think that, you know, an Alexa is the actual like device, this is a show. This is just a smart speaker. The program itself is the Alexa and not the device itself. So you can have that program on your phone, you can have it on a smart speaker, it's on Wi-Fi, on everything. So let's see if we can evaluate this conversation. So I want you guys to listen to this conversation. Hopefully she'll cooperate. I think she's back online. And I want you to evaluate it for like maximum violations and also for the general conversational elements, because this is going to be important. So Echo, how do I make toast? I guess not. Alexa, how do I make toast?
Toast? Really? I mean, okay. Tell me what you want to know. You don't have to be a genius to make toast.
Alexa, can you help me make toast?
Myra, really? I mean, okay. It's so easy to make toast. Why didn't you learn how to make toast already? You just need bread.
Alexa, I have bread. Now what? Let's try it again. Alexa, I have bread. Now what? Now she ignores me. So unfortunately, my internet's really bad here in Seattle. But you got the gist of that initial interaction with the conversation. So if you evaluate that conversation, right, like, did you notice that she had a little bit of an attitude, right? And did you notice that she seemed a little annoyed with me because I didn't know how to make toast and I'm asking her how to make toast? Yes, she's a resentful girlfriend. And so when you think about conversation, right, those elements are important when we're building our conversation. So if you think about a conversation, really bad conversations you've had where they've been awkward, where there've been like awkward silences, just like the ones I had with the device today, it can be hard for people to engage in those conversations, and it really impacts us, right? So based on the conversation, just using emojis, how did that conversation make you feel besides the fact that she just decided not to interact at all? So I'll give you a few seconds to just use an emoji. And if you have the app open, it is Menti, and I should put the code in here for you. Let's see if I can get you that code. Oh, good. Thank you so much. So if you have the app open, you can just use that. There you go. Okay, good. Right? It kind of made you go, maybe kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Right? So, well, trying to hear me have that interaction with the device was kind of like, that's crazy, right? Bad internet. And then the device was sassy, and it just makes you wonder, like, how do these conversations between people impact your emotions, right? Because that can put you in a good mood or a bad mood, and it does impact your productivity. If you're using a device or a skill in a work environment, right? So one, you want to make sure you have good internet connection in your work environment, but also you want to make sure that the tone and voice of this conversation is going to be one that's conducive to leaving your customers delighted. That is one of my top things when you're thinking about that customer journey, is you want to see how are people going to feel along that journey. Because if they're frustrated in that journey, they're not going to use it at all, right? It's going to be, if it's not helpful at all, they're just going to say, this doesn't work, they're not going to use it, right? So that's why it's important to evaluate your environment, because remember, not every situation is suited for a voice skill to be used. So, and just because it's a shining object doesn't mean anything, right? Okay. So now if we look at conversation, and for a skill, there are specific things and elements that are said in order to interact or invoke that skill, right? So a skill has to be invoked because it is a push. It's not a push kind of thing like an e-learning is, where you can just push it and assign it and tell people like, log into this and do this. It is a pull. So the user has to initiate the interaction with the device in order to get that conversation going. So the first piece of the element is this wake word, right? So some things about a wake word, you can't change it. Each user has, when they configure their device, they have, if it's an Alexa device, they have the option of giving it, I think it's 4 names. So they can either name it Alexa, Echo, Computer, or Amazon. That's it. You cannot change it as a programmer. It is what it is, and you can't change that to a different word. The user controls what that word is. So as you heard me use Alexa and you heard me use Echo, I also have another device that my TV is Computer. And so I have different names, so there's no contention between the devices. So you can't change that. Now the launch word is, what do you want? Like, what are you trying to do? What kind of request are you putting in, right? So it's part of the whole invocation phrase. So in here, the invocation is the name of the skill. So in this instance, I have a skill called Mom that helps people learn like adulting habits. And I'm going to share a workbook with you guys that has Adulting 101 in it. And you can go through the work and work through the exercises in there. And it's a big part of this, activity also. And then you have this utterance, like, what are you asking? Like, what kind of information are you looking for, right? So in this case, the utterance is what detergent. So detergent is the true utterance, because that's the thing that we're looking for. Is like, what detergent do I use? And then a slot value. This is, think of it as a variable. And so if you've used, if you've created e-learning, you know, you've learned about variables, whether it's in Camtasia or in a Storyline or other development platforms. You know, a variable is something that's changing, right? So it can be different options. In this case, we can configure that variable to be like, what kind of detergent do I use in the washer and the dishwasher and the, I don't know, and the sprayer to power washer for the house. So you can add different slot values in there. So this is an important piece of it, because this is actually how people start to engage with your skill. So I just wanted to give you this high level overview of this. In the workbook, I have more information, and I will share that link with you in a bit. Okay. So now, when we're designing our conversation, the first thing you want to do is you want to design the happy path. So the happy path is, think of it as like everything is going your way. There are no variables. There's no sticks in the road. It's a nice, like I said, it's that nice game of catch. That ball is being tossed from one, picked up by the other. It's a really nice game of catch, right? So the user makes a request, the digital assistant sends the information, the user provides additional information. So there's that nice back and forth. That's a happy path. There's no branching. There's no, it's like a straight path. It's very linear. And we'll look at how we program that in a little bit. The flip side of a happy path are edge cases. So you have to define your edge cases. So I like to think of this user continuum. I always have a lot of fun making this up, because I always like to like group my personas and my users and figure out like, okay, what kind of user are you? So in the middle, we have our regular average users. These are users that will use our skill the way it's meant to be used. On the far left for me, is the rejectors. So the rejectors are the ones who feel that everything is horrible, nothing is ever good for them, this is crap, it's not gonna work, I'm not used to doing things this way, I completely reject your solution and I will not even give it a chance. I will find a way to break it, and I will use it only to criticize it and badmouth it. That's your edge case user. That's your extreme edge case user on the rejector side. That edge case user is going to try to break your skill, and it's going to ask it questions that it can't answer, so then that person can say like, it didn't work, right? So you have to like kind of figure out what are some extreme use cases, because on the other side you have the enthusiast, right? Who is the opposite of the rejector. The enthusiast is like, yeah, this is fantastic, but they also have higher expectations. And so we need to level set the expectations for both extremes, so we can make them get a little bit closer to that average user line, because the technology is so new, and because in most instances, instructional designers are building prototypes and not building out the entire skill. In order to build a skill, you really need to have some programming chops in your belt. And so you really need to make sure that what you're building is a prototype. All right. So let's start designing. So I'm gonna put this up here. First thing we need to do is we need to identify who are we building for. So we have some personas. And I do have the workbook. So give me a minute so I can take you guys back to the workbook and give you that link. So give me a second. Because in the workbook, we're going to see some, see the personas defined. And give me 2 seconds. Here we go. Let's see if I can get you guys here. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, here you go. Oh, that was really good. I'm impressed with myself. So this is the link to the workbook. So you can go to bit.ly.com/Myra's VUI workbook. I'll leave this up for a second. And in the workbook, I'll flip to the workbook in a minute. You're gonna look at the personas. So it's really important that you understand how to create personas for your users, because when you're dealing with voice, like I said, there's no graphical user interface. And so you really need to understand the challenges that your personas have, right? So you may have, I created some quirky personas that are in the workbook. And just so you know, this workbook is available for purchase on Amazon.com. You're getting a free copy of it today via this link. So be sure to download it and save it, because it will go away after this session. You want to make sure that you understand your users in your environment. You may have people with disabilities, so you need to understand, like, how do I build for that? You may have people who, are visually, have voice impediment also, and how do you help them engage with a voice user interface? You may have people who just are haphazard all over the place. We know a lot of us are torn into like different pieces and pulled in different directions. And so we need to understand those personas to understand, like, how do we handle those personas and how do we build for them? I'm gonna pop over to my workbook really quick so I can show you. So the workbook, everything that I presented in my slides is in here and then more. But if we look at the personas, right? Persona. So this persona is a fictionalization of myself. This is my alter ego. So your persona, you should really give your persona a name, because when we give our personas a name, we're humanizing them. We're making them somewhat. We're making them real. Give that persona an age. Give them a gender and status. And you get all of this information by actually interviewing your end users, by interviewing your learners. And I really am a strong believer in this, like focus groups. And a focus group can be like a 30-minute focus group. It can be a 10-minute focus group, just so you can get a feel for, like, what's your job? What are your pain points? And how can we help you, right? That's a big part of designing. And we'll go through and let's look at one more here. So we have Travis, and they all have different needs, and you can go through these personas afterwards and try creating some of your own personas based on people that you work with. I created these personas that are really, they have like outrageous occupations. I had a lot of fun making these, but I wanted to give you a template that you can use to create your own personas. So based on these personas, we would pick a persona, right? And then we'd say, okay, so like, who are we gonna pick to actually build for? So I'm gonna say, let's go with my persona to make it even keel. So she is just like needy, right? Her highest, so her challenge is that she's high maintenance, opinionated, and has unrealistic expectations. So we could really put her in the enthusiast realm, or even in the rejector realm, depending on, we have to make some assumptions about that, right? How has she interacted with our solutions before? I'm gonna switch back and let me go through these really quick for you. Let's go back here. Okay, so now I want you guys to log in. This is pretty loud. I want you guys to log in, and we are going to actually build a persona for our voice user interface too, because believe it or not, that's really important. the voice and tone that your voice user interface is going to use is really important. Okay, so let's see what came up here. I don't know what's going to happen here. Okay, so we're going to pick a persona for our voice user interface, and we can either pick, you know, a royalty, a politician. Okay, so everyone wants to use a 6-year-old child. So I have a lot of fun with these, right? So we're going to build a skill together, and we're going to use the voice of a 6-year-old child. So that is the voice and tone that we're going to use for our actual software device and how it's going to answer. So thank you so much for participating. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but it worked out pretty good. So it would have been fun to have it be an astrologer, because I wondered how we would do that. But we're going to take I needed to turn that music off. I want you now to go to this VUI template. And it is shared by everyone, so please be kind. Use the comments section to put your comments in. Don't type into any of the boxes just yet. But I want you to keep in mind that right now we've identified the persona that we're targeting. We have the tone and voice for our skill, and we're gonna write out this instruction that we did before, is like making toast, right? So when I built my skill on making toast, I gave her the tone of like a teenager with an attitude, right? Like a teenage girl with an attitude, because I get a lot of that. My girls are older now, thank goodness, but that was kind of the responses I used to get when I would ask questions. Again, I'll leave this up for a second. Longren is bit.ly /Myra's VUI temp. And that's going to take you to this document here. And I'm going to go back. So you can please save this template. It's included with the workbook also. But this template here will help you plan out your voice user interface. So again, Myra's VUI temp.
Hey, Myra.
The template for the sake of time.
From our end, Myra, we're needing to request access.
Oh, you're needing to request access. Okay.
Yeah, it says you need access, ask for access, or switch to another account.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Let's change the restrictions on this. Okay, let's change this to anyone. Sorry about that. Okay, so can I copy this link into chat for you so you can put it in for me, or how can we do this? Oh, everyone's in. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Okay, so I want you to use comments, which is right next to up on the top by all the names. But our skill name, what we're going to start here. This is a template that I created so you can use it to build out your skill, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we need to give our skill a name. So for our name, we're just going to say toast here. Your skill name should have 1 to 2 words. That's it, max. Shouldn't be anything complex. You want it to be simple to use, simple to remember. Okay, and then we need to figure out what the welcome message is. So when I say, let's see if she'll work. Alexa, oh, hold on, let's see if I can turn around. Alexa, open my sidekick. Let's see if she'll work. So I can give you an idea of what a welcome sounds like.
Hey, Myra, I'm ready.
So that is her welcome to me when she opens up my sidekick. What your welcome message should be short and sweet. If you need to give your user some kind of explanation, this is a quick way to do it. I don't recommend making like a paragraph long thing. Think of conversation when when people are talking to us, if they get too wordy, we completely tune them out. So if you guys can, and we'll see how this works, use the comments and add a comment in this white space here with what you think the welcome message should be. I'll give you a few
Myra,
seconds. Yes.
are you able to enable comments? I think it's view only for everyone, so we're not able to type into it.
This is really bad. So, oh, let's see. Hold on. Let's change this. Huh. Okay, so let's see if that works.
Thanks, Myra. I'll have a look now.
Okay. All these technical difficulties, huh? Did it work? So if someone can just leave a comment so I can see if it's working for you or not. In fact, let me change the whole, I'll make you guys editors.
I don't think it's working, Myra.
Okay, I'll make you all editors and see if that works. Oh, I see someone in here. Okay, cool. So Ivan, thank you so much. So leave a comment. Sorry about all that. But leave a comment as to what you think the welcome message should be, right? So if someone says, let me turn her off. If they say, Alexa, open toast, right? What should she say? Like, this is like a skill on making toast. So I want to forewarn you that you should not, your welcome message should be short to give the user some instruction on how to interact with the skill itself. So it could be like, hi, friend, want to make toast, or, right? So I'm going to give you some ideas, but let's see what you guys come up with. How can I help? That's a good one. Let's make back. I'm back. That was weird. Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. That was weird. Okay, so I see a few comments here. So let's go with something fun because it's a 6-year-old. So yummy, I love toast too. So let's copy that in here. Okay. So now the next thing we want to do is I'm going to clear some of these out. The next thing we need is an exit message. So the exit message is like once the user has successfully gone through the skill, right? Or they're done. They're just like, I don't need you anymore. Alexa should also give them, it should say something to the user to let them know that she's closing out, right? So like it can be like, enjoy your toast. It's like, think like a 6-year-old, right? Like you guys pick the 6-year-olds. Be like, goodbye, all right? Enjoy your toast. Or whatever. So what would you put as an exit message? I like that. Is that toast for me? That's a total 6-year-old answer. Toast time, okay. I don't forget. Oh, okay. So sorry guys, but I'm gonna have to take this. Sorry, don't forget to add Nutella because I do love Nutella. Okay, good. So now we have our welcome and so when you're gonna build this out before you even start programming your skill, because we're gonna work in blueprints, and what you're gonna be able to do is you're gonna be able to copy and paste whatever we put in here into blueprints. So we're not gonna go through the entire thing, but I just wanna show you. So you guys drew out like your steps for creating toast, right? So the user, I'll be the user, right? So I asked like, okay, so Alexa, so you never enter the device's name. So you would just enter your question. So I would be like, can you help me make toast? Right, so this is the user question. And so the alternative phrases are going to be just other ways that the user may ask that same question. Not changing the question dramatically, right? It can be like, can you, or help me make toast, right? It can be an alternative phrase. Instead of can you, just like help me make toast. It could be, and it doesn't have to be in question format because what she's looking for is for keywords and enunciation. So my devices have been with me very long, and so they understand my speech patterns. And so when I interact with my devices, it understands my enunciation also. So you want to make sure that to think as a user and don't think of yourself. Put yourself in the shoes of the persona that you selected. That's why we selected a persona. I always recommend pinning the persona pictures to your wall when you're building, so you can, when you get stuck, you can reference those personas and be like, okay, instead of thinking as myself, I'm going to think as like that persona to put myself in their shoes. So in this case, an answer can be, right, what the digital assistant would say. So let's see, what would the digital assistant say when I ask, can you help me make toast? And let's put that in here. I'm going to clear some of these out. And so what I want you to do, like your homework, because I want to make sure that I get to showing you guys how to enter this information into blueprints. Your homework is going to be to actually take this and create a toast skill and then share it with me. I'll share my information so you can share it with me on Twitter and make sure you can share it with everyone else. So what would you answer for, like, can you help me make toast? So we did give, remember, our tone and voice is that of a 6-year-old. So we want her to be a 6-year-old. And while you guys are entering that, let's see if she'll answer me right now. Alexa, how do I make toast? Okay, perfect. Okay, so she's not going to answer. So we have 2 minutes.
Really? I mean, okay. Tell me what you want to know. You don't have to be a genius to make toast.
Okay, so I'm going to take this answer here and I'm going to plug it in down here. And so you're only providing one answer per line. You're not going to enter multiple answers. So in order to plug this, I want to switch over really quick to Amazon Blueprints because I want to walk you through some of this really quick. We have 2 minutes. So for Blueprints, all you need is an an Amazon.com account, and that's free. So if you already shop like on Amazon Prime or you shop on Amazon, you have an Amazon.com account. That's all you need to log in. You don't need any credit cards. This is free to use, and you can create a prototype. In order to test your prototype, you have to be logged into all your devices with the same account that you use to create your Alexa skill. There's a bunch of templates that you can use, and I'm going to show you my toast skill. So I used a custom Q&A for this, and with custom Q&A, you don't give it doesn't have like a name, so you don't have to do that whole invocation. So here you can see I have things about chatbots, but down here I have the whole toast piece, right? So I have, how do I make toast, right? So let me move this paper. So I ask her, how do I make toast? And these are the alternate ways that I ask a question, and then this is how she answers me. This is her tone and voice that I injected in here. And all you're doing is you're just entering question and answer. And this is only in blueprints. This is a good way to create a prototype. I really recommend using the sidekick skill because it's easy just like this, but to invoke it, you would say, Alexa, open sidekick or open my sidekick. So I hope that, I know we rushed through this last part, but I would love to see you guys fill out, that template, work through it, and then you literally just copy and paste to enter your information. So I'm gonna go back because I wanna make sure that I share my contact information with you because I want you guys all to connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. And sorry, I'm making you guys busy. The workbook has a ton of information, but my contact information is here at the bottom of the workbook. Connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Twitter, on Facebook, Pinterest, my website. I'm happy to answer your questions. I wish we had more time for this session, but thank you so much for giving me your time, and I hope that this was useful for you guys. I know we don't have a lot of time, but
sorry, thank you so much, Myra. That was amazing. I think it's so cool what we can do with voice interaction for learning. And yeah, you're very generous to have that workbook available for us and everyone at the conference. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.